Hello, Bo Moore here with More Machine Tools in Accurl USA. Today we're going to discuss the Delem DA-69T touchscreen 3D control. There's some really cool features on this control that really separate it from the pack, being 3D visualization and 3D programming. That's a big separation even from the DA-66T, making this a really big step above. What I'm going to do is walk through a few features on this control, just give you a good idea as to what you're really getting. So on this control, working left to right, you have the products page, drawing, tool setup, bend sequence, program, such as data entry, auto, manual, that's for your one-offs, onesie twosies, things of that nature, settings, machine parameters, and then a uncommonly used help tab. What I'm going to do now, highlight a few differences between a typical 2D part versus a 3D part and how that looks on the control. So this is something that you guys are probably commonly seeing if you're doing any basic touchscreen programming, even some older school stuff. Two-dimensional, showing your flange lengths, your angles, that's great, right? Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take it into the next step of technology. We're gonna implement a 3D part with 3D visualization. Look at this. I mean, eliminating any possibility of confusion, interpretation needed from your operator. It's there, it's simple, it's laid out. The cool thing about this too is the tool setup process. It's an auto selection based upon the data entry for your part, as well as what's programmed in your tooling library. Obviously, this being said, I selected a pretty complex part there. I don't have the tooling queued up, but we're gonna walk through it as if I did and what that would look like. So what I'm gonna do, you're starting with a blank slate on your press brake. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna add a punch. Right now I have 4 generic punches highlighted in here. I'm gonna choose one, add it. Now what I'm gonna do, whoop, just deleted it on accident. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, add a die. Same process, we have a few more here. We're gonna do this, okay? Another thing that we can do is called the auto select feature. What this is gonna do is it's gonna take your part length, mirror it with the best suited tool, both upper punch and lower die that's in your library. I'm gonna show you what that would look like. See, we're working with a short compact part here. I don't know if you can tell, but it changed the length of our tooling. Now, what we're gonna do once we've determined the tool setup, we're gonna go into our bend sequence process. This is where it's gonna lay out bends 1 through 100, however many there may be in your part. Order them not only for sake of efficiency, but sake of collisions and things of that nature. This is obviously an extensive part. There's 11 bends. We're starting with our part completely unbent, right? Go through step by step bending. It's gonna detect where there's collisions, where there's improper allowances, maybe your tonnage requirements for some sake of reason exceeds what's allowed on your dies or your punches. Things of that nature are all going to be laid out here, making it the last step to really check your accuracy before you start bending. Now that we've gone through, bent it all, seen where we need to change, things of that nature. The program, this is your data entry page, so to speak, to where you can go through step by step, check, okay, in bend 3, what is the position of my x-axis, my r-axis, z1, z2, things of that nature for your hard entry type of stuff. Auto, this is where the magic happens. This is the screen you are going to be on when you are working through your program, performing your bends, and continuing on throughout your part. Manual, as I mentioned, I'm not gonna save any changes that I just did to that program part. Manual, this is for your onesie twosie stuff, as I mentioned. This is where you can go in for your one-off bends, throw in simple 90 degrees, maybe a 3-bend part, things of that nature that are easy to program. So you can go through for your air bending, changing that to air bending, bottoming, hemming, things of that nature. Bending length, product position, where it's positioned on the press brake. For your tool setup, things of that. Angle, am I throwing a 90 degree, a 135, what have you. Corrections, positions of your y-axis. Mute, that's when your safety lasers disengage and goes into high pressing mode. Opening, that's when we really want to pay attention to for high production rates. Obviously, if you're doing quick hit parts, you don't want your ram opening all the way up. That can be dictated here. Force, that's your tonnage. Your dwell time, that's how long you're sitting in that high pressure mode performing your bend. That's for maybe you're working with a part with a high spring back allowance. You want to really drive it home. Decompression, you're laying down a long sheet. You want to lay it down, not slam it down on your operators. That can also be set just below. speed, the ram speed, things of that. Wait for retract. What that is, that's a backgauge function. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna wait till the tip of the tool creates pressure on your part. At that point, once the part is held in place, retract. Your backgauge is gonna get out of the way to eliminate a possible collision point. Ultimately, as you can see, things of thickness, material type, all of that can be controlled on the manual page just as if you were programming a part. Settings, this is where you're gonna get into the fine lines of your machine, whether you're working in the metric system or imperial, changing some machine parameters, whether you want there to be sounds on your machine for keystrokes, things of that nature. All can be controlled in here. Machine, this is where you're going to be able to add tools, dies, clamps, changing other odds and ends of that nature, and really getting into the nitty-gritty in the machine parameters for performance adjustments, things of that being. The help tab, this is obviously for any pop-ups. You're gonna find the machine manual here to really study up if your operators need it. Ultimately, as you can see, when you get the DA-69, you get industry-leading technology. This is something that really brings a different state of production capacity to your floor. It brings you to the latest and greatest level, not only from an on-floor possibility, but in the workplace as well. Implementing a 3D offline programming with the Profile T 3D software is a big one. We're able to implement importation of DXF, step files, IGES, what have you, and ultimately bringing the utmost efficiency for your bending needs. Contact us today to learn more about what separates this control from the rest of the pack and why this is the control for you. Thank you.